Hey crafters, special episode today. We're not making anything today. We're not working on our campaign today. Today, we're doing something very special. A friend of mine, Henry, my biggest condolences to him. His mom passed away. So he's cleaning out his mom's house. Well, upstairs in his old room, which she still kept for him if he ever needed it, he found a couple boxes of his old stuff from when he was a teenager. This is gaming gold. So, sight unseen, I gave him some cash. He gave me 2 boxes of stuff. And we are going to be going through these boxes and talking about fun stuff you can do with old stuff that you find and how you can use it for your campaigns. I guess we are going to turn around and use this for our campaign stuff anyhow. So we're going to go over to the big table, not the work table today, but we're going to go to the big table here and we're going to open up some boxes and go through what we got. So let's see what magic Henry's found for us. Okay, originally I was going to do this. 3, 2, 1. Originally I was just going to do this on the dining room table. But then I realized, the work table is actually a pretty big table. It's set up for filming already, so I just figured I'll do it here. Let's take a peek at what we got. First box, looks like it's mainly magazines, but there's some pretty cool stuff in there. These are from the early 80s, 81, 82, Dragon Magazine. Now, these were a staple. I think there's a digital version of this magazine still floating around. Although, if I remember right, somewhere after like issue 350 in the mid-2000s, this magazine went out of print. For the longest time, this was D&D's monthly content dump before there was an internet. You got a subscription to Dragon. You got new spells, you got new classes, you got adventures. These are chock full of great stuff. Now, it's mainly all for D&D first edition, and probably if there's some later issues, maybe second edition. But the nice thing about it is that it's still got content, stuff that you can convert, ideas you can work with. That's why I love some of this old stuff, because there were no rules back then. You just kind of went with what you had, and things were different, and things were weird, and that was okay. So let's see in here, 60s, 61, 50s. I want to say this is like 81 or 82. And some really, really great stuff. Magazines were pretty sturdy back then. They printed them nice, good quality paper. Some pretty cool things in here. Nice art. And look at this, all about elves. So, an entire thing here, kind of creepy art. But an entire section just on elves. Pretty cool. So we've got a bunch of these. I want to say... Oh, okay, hang on. Now, this is cool. Some people may or may not recognize this art. This is Phil Folio. Early days of fandom. I'm talking early 80s. This guy was known for this style of art. He drew a lot of really good stuff. In the early days of Magic, he and his wife Kaya actually drew a couple of the cards in the very early days back in 92, 93. But Phil Folio, he's just part of fandom on a whole. There was a graphic novelization of the book Another Fine Myth. He did the art for it. Great stuff. And I recognize his art style anywhere. So that's pretty cool. Really neat thing to note here is that there's a top secret module. Top secret was when TSR, the company that made D&D back in the day, was trying to get into other genres. There weren't a lot of other genres of games in the early 80s. It was like there was fantasy and that was it. And Top Secret was their attempt to kind of jump in on spies and James Bond and stuff. So that's pretty cool. And like I said, there's a bunch of these Dragon magazines. I'm seeing a lot of stuff from issues in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. That marks it all like 81, 82, 83, somewhere in that thing. So let's see what else is in here. Hang on a second. Okay, so went digging in the box, found a few neat things. Dragon Magazine. I pulled this Folio one back out because this is actually the oldest one in there. This is from 1981. Artwork there, the inside cover date marked as an 81 issue. What's interesting is you got the ad for the official D&D miniatures in the front cover, but it was an industry magazine because this is Iron Crown Enterprises. Iron Crown Enterprises had their own fantasy system, and this is presenting spell law. I mean, by the time I was playing D&D hardcore in the mid 80s, spell law was, you know, a thing. Everybody was like, oh, how do you incorporate this into D&D? It was its own system, but we wanted to find ways to do it. And the Iron Crown Enterprises Law series, they were pretty cool. But again, it's pretty interesting to know that, you know, this is an industry magazine, even though it was run by Dungeons & Dragons, or the company, TSR, that it's got advertisements from other companies in it. And I like the fact that they kept to a lot of their original concepts. I mean, you've got, you know, Bard information in here. You've got Bard and spell capabilities. Sage Advice. Sage Advice. I've got a bunch of D&D mags, a bunch of Dragon magazines from the mid 2000s before they canceled the magazine. And Sage Advice is always one of the first places we look for. Well, do they have anything on this rule? I think online they maintained it for a while too. So it's pretty cool. Sword Lords. I mean, it's just crazy seeing that this was a point in time that this was, you know, their own industry, that they treat it like that. You've got all kinds of other industries, Citadel Miniatures, Aftermath. I remember that. Oh, Fantasy Games Unlimited. I mean, just interesting that it really was treated as an industry magazine for the players. I found this, and the reason this is only notable, pretty cool I thought, is because I recognize the art. This book's got to be from about 1985. That cover was used for a box set they released called Time of the Dragon. Pretty cool. I just thought it was notable because I love that box set. It had some pretty cool information in it. And that was D&D 2nd edition. So here we are in the mid 80s. And I pointed out here, the next issue, 98, it's the 9th anniversary issue. This magazine started in 1976. It's a pretty cool... Oh, God, did it just tear a little bit? These are so old, and some of these are just... They're a little dry. But it's just great that there's all this kind of content in them. The best thing... Best of Dragon, they did these every couple years. They release one, like the best stuff that came out of a year or 2 years. I actually used to have this one. I forget what's in here. There was something in here that made me get this one because it's so cool. There's some great articles. There's some new classes, some new campaign stuff. I love these best ofs because they really boiled down the highest ranked and really coolest stuff. And I love the stuff they had in here. And a lot of the stuff that was in the magazine, they ended up using and incorporating into later supplements and later magazines and later versions. So, and now I'm looking at this 85. I'm wondering if that Time of the Dragon might have been 1st edition. It might have been just on the cusp between 1st and 2nd. So I'm going to have to go up and look at that at some point. So, I mean, we got it on the shelf here. You guys have seen in the background of my video all the gaming junk I've got from over the years. I'm a little bit of a collector. So I'm going to go back to the box, dig out some more stuff, and see what we got. Okay. So, went digging a little bit some more. Found some really cool stuff. A bunch of later Dragon magazines. Now, these are, I want to say, from the late 80s and maybe even early 90s. The thing that got me, oh, here we go, date right here, May 91. So these are some UK imported versions. So I'm wondering where Henry got these. I might have to ask him. But again, you know, these are 25-year-old magazines, almost 30-year-old magazines. Cool stuff can be found in these, but they're the UK imports and a little heavier duty. I don't know if the magazine just got bigger or different stock or whatnot, but Again, cool stuff. Full cover. Just really great stuff. Gosh, I love Dragon Magazine. But that's the common stuff. Now we start digging into the really kind of weird and rare stuff. Avalon Hill. Now, eventually, Avalon Hill got bought by Hasbro. But Avalon Hill was in the early mid-80s. They were known as a wargaming company. They did like box games that were like war games. They were like more intellectual games. One of the ones I used to love of theirs was a game called Kingmaker. It was set during the War of the Roses, and you had to go around and capture cities and get your nobles and call parliament. It was a really cool game, very complex. I like board games. They tried diversifying, and they had a couple of role-playing games in the early to mid-80s. RuneQuest and James Bond 007 were a couple of role-playing games. Well, they also had their own magazine, which I had to look into. And I'm like, what? They had their own magazine, and it's all about, some of it's about their board games, but most of it is source material and stuff for their role-playing games, which is pretty cool. So, I mean, this is volume 1, issue 2, volume 1, issue 6. Wow, I mean, this is some great stuff here. Issue 3. You know, it was neat, kind of funny, because I remember hearing about Avalon Hill, and I played a couple of their role-playing games, but I didn't realize they actually had a full-blown magazine. Let me pause this out. I'm going to pause this out when we get to the publishing part. Now here's the thing. One of the things I found is issue 1, number 1. That's pretty cool. Their very first one. And here you get to see their games. Lords of Creation, Powers and Perils, James Bond 007, and RuneQuest. Pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff here. Wow. I mean, full color. They really, when they went, oh, look at this. Look at this. They got full-blown maps. Adventures. Wow, there's some pretty cool stuff in here. We might be able to convert some of this stuff for stuff we're working on. So, good stuff. Good stuff. Now, this is funny because this is a different magazine, but I recognize the cover because this picture, this is the cover to RuneQuest, the game, the role-playing game. So, this is like a special. Oh, it's a special. So right here, it's a special. It's sample pages from their other 3 first issues. March, April, May, 85. Okay, so what this is another indie magazine. Star Trek scenarios. Captain Amazing, a superhero they've got a background for. They created him in both the Champions game system and the Marvel superhero system. Very underrated system. I haven't played it in years, but great system. A review of RuneQuest when it was still new. Some wargaming stuff. Oh, it looks like this is how you subscribe to their magazine. April 85. Great miniatures. Wow. Wow, these are some nice World War II figures. Those are pretty nice. Board game, Rommel in the Desert. How to make and market your own game. Pretty cool stuff. Ben Sargent, gamer, cartoonist, and Pulitzer Prize winner. An interview with him. Pretty cool. Wow. So yeah, there's some pretty rare and small-time press stuff in here. Ha. The Hexagon Papers. Now, I don't know what this all is, but I know that symbol there, that is the logo for West End Games. West End Games is a great, let me see, right here, West End Games. They were a great small publisher. They had a couple games that they did. One of their big ones was Paranoid. They also did a game called Torg. I actually wrote for them. I've written in a couple of their books, Creatures of Aurora, and I was featured in a couple of other things there. But yeah, that's kind of interesting. So this is something from West End Games. Oh, it's Gen Con update. Okay, so this is something to do with Gen Con. Interesting. Torg was the Gen Con Game of the Year. I want to say, or the Origins Award winner. I want to say like 90, 91. Other stuff I found in there. Catalogs. I remember going to conventions and you would get these. You would hawk on these things because all the new stuff was in there and the ideas and so the FASA. I forget what FASA stood for, but they were BattleTech, Mecha Combat. Such a fun board game, battle game, whatever you want to call it. They also, I forgot about that. They had the license for that Doctor Who role-playing game back in the early 80s. I remember that. That was actually kind of a fun game to play. I didn't remember that was FASA. They had the license on that. See, that's why I love these boxes. It's a lot of nostalgia. They had the license for Star Trek. Well, they were pretty much the sci-fi guys, so I guess that makes sense. I think I've got a couple of these books still somewhere on the shelf. I'm pretty sure I got that Romulan book. But yeah, this is Starfleet Battles. Oh gosh, I remember playing these for hours on end, running around playing this. These miniatures are great. Gosh, I remember we had a whole bunch of these. We're painting them up. This was a great system. Top Gun. I didn't know they had a Top Gun system. Man, FASA was the bomb. I mean, if you liked sci-fi, wargaming, FASA was the company to go with. They had great stuff. Victory Games. Now this is interesting. Victory Games, these are supplements for the James Bond 007 role-playing game, which the 007 role-playing game we just saw was done by Avalon Hill. So either Victory Games was a subset, or maybe they bought the license out. Interesting. So that's pretty cool. And James Bond role-playing, oh my goodness, coming soon from Palladium in November '86. Robotech. This looks like this is a convention pack. I wonder if he was at a convention or something, because I mean, I remember this, the front line, this was a convention newspaper. He must have been at some convention. Mayfair Games, another one of these catalog. The DC Superheroes RPG. Oh, God, I hated that game. It was terrible. The Barbara Connor romance game. I mean, these guys, there was a time when they would just try anything to see what they could do. Ellery Queen game. I mean, they were trying anything. Hammer Slammers. Now, that would have been a great series of books. That would have been a lot of fun to play. Mayfair, the licensing specialists. These guys were going around and trying to get people's license so they could build games off of them. They did a lot of these roll aids. These roll aids are great. I actually have a few on the shelf. They're independent. They're completely system non-reliant. They were basically source books that they had stats for multiple game systems and what they considered stuff, and a lot of like background material. Great, cool stuff. Wow, these are all like magazines, like the stuff you would see at conventions when they were trying to sell their stuff off. All right, we had to quick swap batteries here. So, yeah, I mean, Electric Warrior, this is just, this is promo material from that DC role-playing game. The Ral Partha catalog, I'm ready for Ral Partha minis. I don't even know, I think they're still around, but they were great minis. I mean, that was good stuff back in the day. I'm really beginning to think this is a convention packet. Because, I mean, we've got the Pace Setter catalog from '85, which there's some sort of another indie game of Chill. Oh, wait a minute. I remember Chill. Yeah, so this is, another one of these. Back in the day, these were, indie RPGs. You know, they were a big thing. Everybody had their little RPG, their own system they came up with. That was them, Pace Setter. I'm beginning to think, like I said, I'm beginning to think this is, and I'm right. Oh my goodness. It is a convention packet. Gen Con 18. Okay, I'm sure everybody knows what Gen Con is. Here in the States, it's the biggest convention. When I was growing up, disclosure, I live in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So it didn't start in Milwaukee. It actually started in Lake Geneva, Gen Con, where TSR was. But that's about a half an hour, 45-minute drive out of Milwaukee. It moved Milwaukee, I want to say in the early 80s, and was here up until it moved to Indianapolis in 2001, 2002, something like that. But it was here for a good close to 20 years. Gen Con was a thing. You want a game, you go to Gen Con. You live here in town. I mean, Milwaukee was a gaming epic. It was a gaming mecca. Gen Con 18. I'm gonna say it's 85, and just looking at the stuff that came with it and looking at the booklet itself, I'm gonna guess I'm right. This is great. I mean, this is exactly what this is all about. I mean, this was gaming back in the day. Gen Con was for once a year. Oh my gosh, this was Henry's actual thing. Stuff was canceled, stuff he went to. RuneQuest, the #1 in England system. Avalon Hill. Yeah. West End Games, Paranoia, Star Trek, Arabian Nights. Yeah, this is crazy. Play-by-mail games. Ha! This used to be a thing. Before there was internet, it was play-by-mail. And you would get like once a week or once a month updates. Like you would write a letter back saying you were doing this, and the person running the game would send you a letter back saying this is what happens. Yeah, that's funny. I remember play-by-mail. There used to be play-by-mail war games. War games were a big thing too. Wow. Actual Gen Con 18 convention program. That's a keeper. That's actually something, you know, honestly, I might actually find a shadow box frame and put that up, because that's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. But yeah, I'm pretty convinced that this is absolutely from a Gen Con pack. Special RuneQuest issue of that Heroes magazine from earlier. Pretty cool. And White Dwarf. So White Dwarf is Citadel Games / Games Workshops. They were Britain's Dragon magazine, but they're wargaming. I mean, people know what Warhammer 40k and Warhammer is, I'm going to assume. So this is their magazine. When is this from? November 84. So this might have been a gimme at the convention. On the order sitting here for RuneQuest. I'm beginning to think Henry might have played a lot of RuneQuest. Or he just got lucky and just had a lot of stuff of it. So the Lone Wolf series of books. Oh my goodness. I remember these as a kid. Lone Wolf books, they were like choose your own adventure books, except you had a character sheet and you needed some dice because you had a character, the Lone Wolf, and you were doing this through the book and you had to fight, and oh gosh, such a fun thing. Wow. Really early. This is really cool. Wow, this will be fun to go through. I have a lot of 40k stuff. I was a 40k addict for a long time. I have like 6 or 7 Blood Bowl teams. I probably have at least 2 or 3 versions of the Blood Bowl rules. I've got, oh gosh, I've got probably a bunch. I can't even go into how many miniatures I have of Space Marines. Actually, probably later this year, I'm planning on doing a breakdown of a box of Dark Vengeance. We're going to do a breakdown, build the figs and paint them. That's something for later in the year, but you know, I don't like some of their business practices, but I love their product. Their products are great. So we'll be talking about 40k and Warhammer and whatnot later in the year. So good stuff, but old White Dwarf. All right, so that pretty much covers the first box. Oh, wait, nope, one more thing. This, now this. This. RPGA packets. So this is a magazine, sorta. The RPGA, the Polyhedron magazine, the Role Playing Gamers Association Network. Basically, how to describe a RPGA? RPGA. This is 88. Okay, so this dates them right in the back. This was a living campaign. They had a campaign. People would play. They would set up scenarios and they would send them out to their GMs, and the GMs would run the encounters or run the modules, and then they'd send the results back to RPGA headquarters, and they'd tally results, and the campaign would live and shift and change depending on the results they got from these campaign answers. And it was basically, it was like rated and ranked play, but for Dungeons and Dragons. So it was a lot of fun. You'd always have new content. You'd always have new ideas. There's always stuff coming down, and that's what these Polyhedron magazines were. They were just stuff for this living campaign world. And yet there was also stuff you would see like Dragon Magazine type stuff. So there's all kinds of, there'd be a module in every issue and all kinds of stuff. These are really cool, and they've got like what looks like 2 years of it here, maybe even 3. I have to go through them. That's worth converting. This is a lot of fun stuff. Wow, that's a haul. And that's just the first box. This is the light box. This is nothing but magazines. The second box actually has stuff in it. So when we put these away, and I'm gonna get the second box, we're gonna come back and, oh, I can't wait to see what we got. One. Okay, so we're back. This second box is amazing. Okay, so apparently there's a small company that doesn't exist anymore. I've never even heard of them. And I knew a lot of the little indie game companies. But this is one called TriTac. And they've got a bunch of like really interesting non-system specific weirdness that they have. They've got the DM's Book of Nasty Tricks and Misfit Magic, and just I don't know, just weird stuff, just tables to do randomness, and exactly what it says, Misfit Magic, Ring of Alworthlessness, Bulb of Light, Stuffed Bear of Childhood. Oh my god, this is just bizarre. So fun, mostly silly stuff it looks like, but it could be a lot of fun. War in the Streets, another TriTac game. Senior citizens are rioting in the streets. It is a senior citizen geriatric war character sheet. I don't even want to know. It's a war game where you're running around with senior citizens fighting in the streets. Oh my god, the 80s were a weird time. Well, here's a perfect example. You know, this last election that came up, there was a lot of talk about why choose the lesser of two evils. Well, you know, I remember this in '88. They really asked that question. Why choose the lesser of two evils? Cthulhu for president. Why settle for the lesser evil? The Elder Party. The stars are right. Oh my god. This is just silliness. It's just straight up silliness. Cthulhu for president. This is the entire package. I remember seeing these around Chaosium with the Call of Cthulhu game. They were pushing these at Gen Con one year. They were hilarious. It's a complete packet. That's awesome. I've always wanted one of those. That's hilarious. It's got everything in there. The 80s were weird. The 80s were so weird. Indie games. Macho Women with Guns, the role-playing game. Oh my god, I remember this. It was ridiculous. Oh, there it is. The final chapter, part 1. I don't even know. It's just... Man, the 80s were weird. We did some weird stuff back then. If there was a way to game it, we gamed it. That TriTac games, apparently Henry was a fan because I'm finding a bunch of their stuff. Oh, they actually have a good, like a nice book. Bureau 13, The Lost Files. Information site, not fantastic. It's actually Bureau 13. Talking about fantastic. Tri-Tac Systems. It's an actual decently put together game. It looks like it's like a slightly comedic version of the X-Files. Might be serious, could be on the way you run it, but that's cool. I mean, Tri-Tac, they've got a packet here. I don't even know what this is. Gamers. It's millions of them. They take over a town. What is this? I don't know. I don't know what this is. It's some weird gaming comic book. I don't even know what this is, but this looks... Oh man. I don't even know. This is just bizarre. Jeez, I don't even know. I gotta look at that. That just looks, there's just weird. Again, weirdness. The 80s were a weird time. But then there's some mainstream stuff here. Now this is pretty cool. Let me put this aside. And I got some mainstream stuff here. Our Teslorian Games, Cyberpunk. There's actually 2 copies of the Cyberpunk RPG. I wonder how complete it is. I remember playing this. This was actually, it was a pretty cool, pretty, gritty RPG for dealing with cyberpunk. And it was, well, it's what it was, but if you're familiar with the genre, yeah. So yeah, this looks like it's almost like it's a complete box. A bunch of extra stuff in there, some Henry's little campaign stuff. Well, I'll have to go through this, but that looks like that's complete. So 2 full copies of the game. Huh. That was a great system. I love that. I think I have some of the supplements for it from later on because I did really love that game system. Gamma Marauders. I don't even know what the hell this is. TSR box. Their machines, their monsters are here. Oh, it's some sort of board game. It's like, oh, okay. So, it's a 1 to 2 hour playable board game. I guess board tiles. It looks complete. Gamma Marauders. It's a Wahoo science fiction brawl for 2 to 6 players. So you're basically making giant monsters and brawling. Okay, I'm down. This looks like fun. I'm going to have to set this up and play this. That is hilarious. I'm down. 80s were weird, Dan. And nothing was more proof of that than Grimtooth. Grimtooth and the Traps books. These are just books of death. You want to have your players hate you. You want to kill your players. This is the books to do it to. 1 book wasn't enough. They had to keep going. Some of the traps aren't so bad, but there is some stuff there. It's like, oh, if you actually run this, yeah, you're killing your players. I think they're more just for comedic value than anything else, or idea concepts. Because, if you actually killed your players at the rate some of these traps designed in here do it, why would your players ever play with you again? But there's some pretty cool stuff. And even you could probably get some good ideas. But when I say there's killer traps, they literally, the Grimtooth traps, they literally, they show them, they design them, they show you how they work. How to kill your players dead in 3 seconds flat. Damn. And of course they have a number of skulls rating how deadly that trap is. So it's a 1 skull, it's not deadly, or it's easy to get away from. If it's 4 skulls, yeah, you just destroyed your players. They're dead. Spun, clang, into the rollers, mush. God, what? I love the Grimtooth books. They were fun. Palladium, their early books were kind of small. That's a very early, I gotta say, it's 86, 87. Palladium, 84, the Palladium Book of Contemporary Weapons. Nowadays, that's a book this size. But yeah, that's pretty cool. Hey, this is interesting. TSR's Western rules system, Boot Hill. I wonder how complete this is. I remember reading about this. I never actually saw the game. I heard about it and they talk about it. It looks like it is mostly complete. I have to take a look at it, but Boot Hill. Actually, Boot Hill. That was, again, TSR tried branching out. They had a sci-fi system, Gamma World. They had their Boot Hill, their Western system. They tried a couple other systems. They had their direct competition to go with James Bond 007. And their Top Secret. There it is, Top Secret SI. So, wow, I have a copy of that. I remember I had another copy of that. I think I've got a copy on the shelf. Fun system. If you like the spy genre, it's a good, simple system, easy to work with. I actually have a much later version of this book. This was a unique concept by Steve Jackson Games called Killer. It's a live-action game. It's rules for how to kill your friends. Basic rules and lots of things. You have a time set. Fun game. You could probably look up the rules on there. The whole idea was that, it was for college dorms or high school setup or just friends. A lot of fun stuff. Funny stuff. Gosh, I'd forgotten about this. I actually have, like I said, I have a new version of it, which there was just a black skull on the cover. So that's kind of cool. They're illustrating what you're trying to do here. I know Henry, and I know some of the stuff he gets into. So I'm going to get to that in a sec. But again, interesting. Valley of the Pharaohs. It's a Palladium RPG. Role-playing and adventure in ancient Egypt. Huh. That didn't get touched much. I didn't think of that one. I didn't see that. Alright, I'm going to pull this stuff away, and then I'm going to put the table the other big finding. And then the other big finding is a bunch of things I'm going to put together because I can see, and I know Henry. Henry was into the spies and super spies and the Call of Cthulhu and investigative type mystery games. So the other thing I found in that box is really cool. Cool enough that I want to have the table just for it. So let me pause this and I'll come right back. Alright folks, so here is the other part of what was in that box. This is what I'm talking about, pure gold. Grenadier Miniatures and a few other companies, but mainly Grenadier. The original way I used to buy miniatures back in the day. Buy these sets. And this is Call of Cthulhu, the metal figures. These are all lead figures. This is all lead. And look at these. These are all... wow. These are beautiful. Completely untouched. Modern day style figures. I think there's actually more in here than the basic set. I think he threw a couple extra figures in here. Oh, that's crazy. So it's supposed to come with 12 figures. I'm counting way over 12. So he's got some extra ones in here. So Call of Cthulhu, so just, roaring 20s or 30s. Grenadier, oh God, these are amazing. I mean, I remember when we used to have to buy miniatures like this. You could buy blister packs with one figure. Spider Dresden. Huh. Partha Imports. That's crazy. Grenadier's Secret Agents. This is their Secret Agents Super Spies. He must have bought this for this SI. Bunch of cops, bunch of secret agents. guns and backpacks. Military guys. This is really cool. Wow. This here. I would have paid that for just this stuff here. These are beautiful. Oh man, you don't get these anymore. You can get them, but they're so expensive. I love minis, but getting a pack like this should have been. Just get a jump pack. It's an assault commando with a jump pack. Oh, that is awesome. So 2 boxes of these modern day figures. And what looks like Super Spies 2, Super Spies 1, Super Spies 3, Survival Force Beta. And it looks like these are all more of these modern day figures. I don't even know how this. Oh, here we go. They all look more like modern day figures. Oh yeah, these are military guys. This is that Strike Force, whatever, Survival Force Beta. And these are modern military guys. Got a booty cap and machine guns and M203. Wow. And yeah, these are all lead. You can tell by holding them. These things are all solid metal lead. Man, these are going to be nice. I'm actually going to probably base these and prime them and paint them up. Especially with that zombie apocalypse game I'm talking about. I'm working on the new series for. Yeah, I might have to do that. I mean, these guys might be pretty cool. Wow, that's pretty special. I want to force that. It looks like these are just more of the same, just more of those kind of figures. There we go. Chick with an M16, some sort of helmet. It's funny, they're smaller than modern day Mins by a lot. You know, modern day Mins, they're a lot bigger and higher detail, a little bit taller. These are small in comparison, but they're cool. I like them. I like them. These are nice. This guy. Dude in a suit with a pistol. It's your James Bondy type. Wow. Well, these are great. These are really great. I don't like this case much. Yeah, I'm gonna have to paint some of these. Get out my get out a magnifying glass, get a better detail. Look at that. It's like a Black Widow. You know, I know it's not her, but it's dressed like she is. I mean, you can easily paint this to look like Black Widow. That's pretty cool. Wow, there's 4 boxes of these. Wow, that is some pretty groovy stuff. Wow, thank you, Henry. This is amazing. This is awesome. A bunch of miniatures, a bunch of nostalgia, a couple of game systems, a couple I haven't played before, a bunch of magazines that I can go through and use for content. Wow, this was a find. Actually, some stuff I can stick up on a wall and frame here in the gaming room. This is cool. Oh, thank you, Henry. Yeah, let me get this up and let you guys see this. I'd like to hear what you guys think about it. Just some fun stuff. Yeah, tell me what you think. Comment below. You know, if there's stuff you saw that you wanted to see a little bit more of, you got questions on, put them in there. Let me see what you're thinking. I'd love to hear more. It's an excuse for me to dig through this stuff. So, yeah, thanks so much. And we'll be back with our regular scheduled crafting probably later this week. Thanks so much. Game on, guys.